Welcome, everybody, to another edition of CLTFC Fan TV for the fans, by the fans. I can't see anything. I can hear plenty. All I know is Lee said, listen, I'm not going to tell you exactly what I know because, JT, I want you to show up. And so I'm ready to go just like everyone else. So I'm just peel off here. And y'all tell me what in the is going on. I didn't even know who's going to be on the show tonight. I love y'all. Hey, that's Vaughn, that's Jorge. Man, 24 hours been kind of crazy, man. Oh, yeah, and one last thing. I can't even right now.
What is going on? What's up, Vaughn? What's up, Jorge? Appreciate you guys joining us, man. There's lots of stuff to talk about. Rumors, speculation is, and every time we say speculation, by the way, you have to drink, and it can be water or whatever. But if we say speculation, and the first one to fall out the chair loses. So, and just to add, if you want to enter into tonight's giveaway, it is hashtag speculation to enter. So put that in the chat, and you will be entered. And our friend Adam is going to give you a choice. You can either have a picture of Miggy Smalls or a picture of Carroll himself. So,
I thought about that earlier. I was like,
you get the pick.
I was like, that Miggy Smalls is going to be limited edition now, man. If he's doing another one, whoever gets it tonight, y'all better hold on tight to it.
That's it. So I hope everybody's had a great 24, 48 hours. There's a lot of stuff going on, right? A lot of stuff. So I don't know. Where do we start? Vaughn, Jorge, and I kind of discussed last night. You go ahead and give us your thoughts on what's going on, and then we'll start hitting some of these nuggets and actual points that I want to hit tonight.
I mean, where do you start, right? I'll start with nosotros no estamos jodidos. We are not screwed, guys. It's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. It's a tough pill to swallow. Very interesting timing. I'm sure we're going to dig into the details of it, but really the gut reaction, everybody was blindsided. We all, knew that there was some stuff going on behind the scenes. Everybody saw the hot quotes that were coming out in every single Miguel presser. Thanks in large part to Jorge drawing some of those out. I think at the end of the day, I think it was determined that this was something that had to happen, and it had to happen now. We're not privy to the details of why that is. We can speculate, right? Like, I think that was the other. We don't have to speculate about Zoran's presser being a disaster from a PR perspective. Like, it did not go over well. I said the only hot quote that came out of that was his use of the word speculate.
Drink.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry. 3, man. You're like 3 behind. That's okay. You're always 8. For y'all that don't know, Lee is running. He's running the motherboard. So he's driving the ship as we're doing this.
Yeah.
But that is 3 now, Lee. That's 3.
Okay, sorry. I'm only drinking water. Go ahead, Vaughn. Continue your thought, buddy.
I mean, it's a run-on thought, right? Like, okay. there are many thoughts to be had. It's more maybe a matter of, where do we want to start? Do we want to start with the presser? Do we want to start with the fact that Miguel's gone, Latanzio? I don't know where we.
Well, let's hold it right there. Right, hold it right there. Right, Jorge, man. Tell us your quick thoughts. Your high level of what you think is going on, and then we'll jump really into it.
It was a good day today. Messi won his 40th career trophy. Is that what you want to talk about?
That's about all we got from you.
No, man. I think it's very interesting. I talked a little bit about it on WFNZ today. It's pretty obvious that there was a broken relationship between the front office and Miguel Angel Ramirez. And, like Vaughn alluded to, like, Zoran did not help the case for, there's going to be the Miguel camp and there's going to be the Charlotte FC camp, right? And Zoran did not do a good job of helping the Charlotte FC case by not answering any of these questions. The fact that you're saying you don't want to speculate makes all of us speculate in terms of what's going on. And so I think that was a factor in it. And I also think there's a factor of, he lost key players in that dressing room. And all those things led to what happened now, which is the sacking of Miguel Angel Ramirez, which, to be honest with you, man, like I think we'll be okay. But to me, the season turns more into an anomaly, because I don't know what to expect from Latanzio. Hopefully I think the squad is competitive enough to try to reach a playoff spot. But at the end of the day, man, like it's to me like we still have a coach that's unproven.
Question what do you know, Jorge, about the 3 assistant coaches that left with him? What about that void? Because they left together, and I assume they all went, or they're leaving together, whatever. But what about the assistant coaches? I know the keeper coach.
So Charlotte stuck with Andy, who is the goalkeeping coach, and they kept on Christian Latanzio. Cristobal also went. Mikel Antilla also went. And the video guy, I don't remember his name, also went. But these were all Miguel guys. And so those guys were part of Miguel's camp, and they got the boot as well. And only Latanzio and Andy, how do you say his last name? Quay,
I think Quay
stayed on board.
So look, we're going to go ahead, Vaughn.
Well, I'm thinking, like, where should we start, right? And I told you where
that's
I started.
Where I was going to lead. I was going to lead with today's news, right? Basically, yesterday, right, we got told Miggy's fired, right? We didn't know really why. There was a lot of speculation going around that said, like what was going on. Nobody knew. Then we had the press release, which in my opinion didn't really help matters much, right? And then as the day kind of progressed from there, more stuff was coming out, right? And to kind of summarize, I think how yesterday ended up and today started, it sounded like there was more of a locker room issue, right? It seemed like, hey, that some of the players are kind of raised up, or a player, and particularly The Athletic run that article today talking about Carroll, how he was refusing to come back and sit down. So if that article is correct, my question to you guys would be, in a World Cup year, and Carroll is probably going to be starting for Poland in the World Cup as we saw today, why would the guy not want to play for the club that he's in? Because if he misses the next 6 months, Poland's not going to pick him to come to the World Cup. So why would he raise up and say, hey, I'm not going to do this, right? He definitely didn't do it by himself then.
Yeah.
Right. So
I have a theory. I mean, I don't know. Nothing of this is factual, but I think that was just one of the firing powers that maybe Zoran used to say to bring this to Tepper and to come to the decision to kind of let Miguel go, saying, hey, we have this going on. We also have this going on. And we also have Karol Swiderski not wanting to play for the team anymore. So
what has Carroll got to gain from sitting down in a World Cup year and refusing to play?
Well,
forcing a move.
Yeah.
What's that?
Saying it's summer and I want to go elsewhere. If I'm not going to be scoring goals here, if I'm not going to be getting service, if I don't feel that this team has the right vibes and this coach isn't getting me, tap-ins. I commented on when he scored his goal today for Poland. Where was that goal? Where was Swiderski on that goal? He's inside the 6-yard box. When was the last time? Service. Well, no, but service or not, he didn't get service on that play. That was a rebound.
I mean, to be fair, I would say he's been coming deep, right, to get more involved into the game, right, versus having the opportunity to be up top and waiting for that sort of pass/service.
But that's what I'm saying is that I think Miguel's system and we're just getting to the point that we're implementing that 4-3-3, right? I think that there's been frustration about Swiderski not scoring goals. There's been frustration about, hey, Jóźwiak isn't 90 minutes fit. Vargas is just being brought in. We're seeing Shinyashiki getting more time. So the guy that's getting lost in all of this is Swiderski still in a goal drought. And Swiderski is the one that's still having to drop deep. He's not getting that service. We're still figuring things out. We're up against tough opponents. There's schedule congestion. There's rifts that are happening off the field. I think there was a whole bunch going on that was all impacting this. And once again, we are speculating. that this is all factual, that it is Swiderski. We know it's probably true,
Yeah.
but that's, I think, what was going on here is Swiderski's he's flexing a muscle. He's saying, "Hey,
I don't think it's him by himself.
no,
At least
no,
what I'm hearing.
Yeah,
And
that's what I would, my speculation
made
is
up this-
that it's the straw that broke the camel's back, whatever. It may be a big straw, maybe a stick, but, just sending whatever it was, butting heads with Zoran, all this other kind of stuff. But I really think that the idea, to Lee's point, of Swiderski not coming back or coming back, he would have gone somewhere else. So,
well, and the thing is, I told you guys before I jumped on, and where do we begin? I personally went back to the beginning.
Okay.
Right? My warm up before I jumped on this episode today was to go listen to the introductory press conference for Miguel. And that was to do several things. It was to listen to what was Miguel's messaging, right? What was Miguel, where was he at mentally, and what were some of his goals when he was coming to Charlotte FC? But also, Tepper spoke at that introductory press conference as well. It was Tepper speaking, not Cornetta. I think that's one thing to note. In the introductory press conference, Tepper told the media and everyone right there that I got off the call when we were interviewing, speaking with Miguel, and Miguel, you don't even know this. I said, that's my guy. We're done. We're done here. That's who I want. And Miguel established right then and there. He knew he was bringing his guys. He knew he had Antia. He had his video guys. He had his PR team, whatever. And Tepper signed off right then and there. Yes, this is the direction we're going.
Let me hold you right there. There's, and that's coming out too, right? I don't know if this is common knowledge that Miggy basically had his own PR team, right? If you wanted to interview him or anything, basically you had to go through his PR team and give them a rundown of what was happening. So,
hey Vaughn, hey, I'm sorry. Listen to this. I had that cut that you just talked about of Tepper at the original press conference in the video I made for this morning, but I just was like, it's not where it's supposed to be. So y'all, I just pulled it up real quick. Listen to what he says. I can't play it for you over the video because Lee's controlling it. And I'm not that advanced, but listen to this. You should be able to hear it.
should send me the clip.
Play.
We talked to Miguel on the phone. You don't know this, actually. But so we got done with the Zoom call, and I said, I'm done. I said, I'm done. I'm done. We're going to get this guy.
That's it. He's like, I'm done. I'm done. It was down to five candidates, and he was like,
search process, and
oh, sorry.
Stop it now.
I did. But he was down to 5 candidates, and he was like, after hearing Miguel on the phone, he's like, that's the guy.
And the other thing is, after that, after Miguel went on stage, and for the only time we ever saw this from Miguel, he read from a script. He very calmly had his prepared notes, and he followed the script, right? And from that moment on, there was never another time that Miguel went by a script or anything that was written down in that manner. Some of that, was, hey, this is my biggest test. I think he said that. He said, this is my biggest test going through this all in English. And then he was able to listen to a question from the media, and he answered it perfect. No problem at all. In perfect, clean English with a well thought out approach. And so here's what I think. I think at the end of the day, I think Miguel lost sight publicly of what his voiced intentions were when he came to the club. I think the ideas of it being a project, of it needing to take time, of establishing a foundation, and all of those sorts of things. I think the hot quotes that we heard from him throughout his short tenure did not jive with his initial introductory.
No, but they were definitely planted, though. They were intentional.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Miguel knew exactly what he was saying, doing, and he had his ulterior motives. But I think that's the thing is, even in his hot quotes, this is what stood out to me was it started with "we are screwed."
Yep.
And by the end, it's "I'm not Harry Potter."
Yep.
It went from a we mentality to an individual I.
Well,
right. And so there were these clear divisions that were established. There
fair
was
enough.
The front office. There was Mar. There was the questions of, is this a Mar guy? Is this a Zoran guy? Is this a Nichols guy? Who decided that this player was coming and was going to get minutes? There's all these lines of division, and that's the biggest concern for me, is that there's divisions, is that there is a lack of togetherness, and that's what I'm hoping Latanzio can bring, is to bring that all back in.
Well, there's some comments in here I want to hit before we kind of get further in here, right?
Just to add to Vaughn's point real quickly too, at Independiente del Valle, Miguel had a lot of control. You know what I'm saying? Especially with a small team. He even said it himself. He didn't really want to coach the first team. He was kind of like put in a position, and I mean, because he was so successful, had so much control. I think that was maybe one of the factors that made him want to come to the very start of a new team, right? Because he's like, okay, if we're at the beginning stages of something, I'm going to have a lot of power to do a lot of the things that I want to do. And slowly but surely, he started finding out that wasn't the case here.
That's Zoran's baby.
Well, but Zoran said, and the team has said, I want to hire a head coach, not a manager. They made a very, very, very clear message about a head coach, not a manager. Yeah. And then the messaging, and I think it actually was Nick Kelly that said it in press conference, was saying that with Miguel, he's earned being a manager. He's come in, he's wanting to have his fingerprints on more things. He's wanting to be more involved in the club and handle more than just the on-field stuff. So the team deviated from their stated intent. And was that a Zoran thing? Was it? Yeah, they said they wanted a head coach, not a manager. And by the end of it, they had a manager.
Yeah. Well, at the end of it, we don't have a manager and we don't have a Nick Kelly. We still got a Zoran. So, correct. I mean, we could take that and kind of going off what Pato was saying, right? I mean, are they related? We don't know. I mean, Nick Kelly got promoted up. So I think personally, Nick left for personal reasons, new family and that sort of thing. And then Mark obviously wasn't happy with the way things were going, so he bounced, right? And then Zoran and Miggy were left, and it's.
Yeah, but I also see that side where, like, these are a lot of changes and a lot of changes in leadership positions. So to me too, I still question it. I still see that there's issues in the Charlotte structure and the Charlotte balance of power, and that ultimately affects both the Panthers sides and the Charlotte FC sides. Because you can't tell me that all of these are very specific situations. Some of these intertwine.
100%.
Well, and can I touch on that? Because this was something I think, I know Jorge and I talked about it a little bit beforehand. One of my concerns with the leadership in the organization, and it crosses, I mean, it's Tepper. It crosses both Charlotte FC and the Panthers organization. Is that there is this pattern of trying to find the diamond in the rough.
Yep.
Of trying, it's not necessarily a bargain, but if you look at the history of people at the top, you had Nick Kelly, had never been a sports executive prior to joining Charlotte FC. He came from a more corporate environment. Zoran had never been a sporting director. He was an agent. Miguel, early up and coming career, no MLS experience. Hadn't been in the Americas. That's another diamond in the rough. Joe LeBeau, he goes from VP of ticket sales on the football side, and now he's the president on the soccer side. Matt Rule, crossing over to the football side of things, first NHL head coaching gig. He came straight from the college game. Same thing, young, up and coming, charismatic, good in front of cameras, good with media. That was the goal there. Scott Fitterer, first GM gig, had only been the VP of football operations at Seattle. But if I look at Tepper, what is his role? What is he made all of his money from? He's a hedge fund manager, right? He takes assets from other people, and he's assigned with managing those assets and hedging his bets and finding a way to buy low and sell high. What is the lowest risk to get the highest reward, right? This is his entire ethos, and that is how MLS is structured as well, right? Like, it's just how.
So,
MLS...
what do we think about Steve Walsh being in the picture?
Oh, you're making me think too much, man. Damn.
No, but
That's
Steve
great point.
Steve
That's a
Walsh
great
He
point.
was a consultant, though, right? And with Zoran, him and Zoran were basically one and the same in regards to building this team out.
Yeah, but Steve Walsh is not an employee of the club.
Right.
No, I know. Well, I
Walsh,
mean, he was hired as a consultant. I mean, he wasn't doing this because he just decided, hey, I want to be in Charlotte, right?
yeah, but you have to bring good people around you to try and
Yeah.
attract talent. Like how do you secure a Fuchs? You have to have connections. You have to have people that are well
That was a
respected and
Steve Walsh.
trusted.
That was a Steve Walsh connection, right?
That's who I'd love to talk to is Fuchs, because he's been around. He's the wily veteran. He's seen a lot. I'd like to be, like you said, a fly on a Fuchs. I want to understand what he's seen.
I don't know. This is my point. I mean, I get where you're coming from, Vaughn, but I just feel like Tepper seems more hands off to me, at least from what I've seen on the Charlotte side than he does the Panther side. And I'm not trying to get into a big Panther conversation because that's a completely whole nother subject, which I don't give a shit about. All right. I'm not an NFL guy, right? I mean, I'm sorry. If you guys whatever. Yeah, and just real quick, a shout out to the shipping department. We love the shipping department on this show. And so my point is, right? I mean, we can go down this rabbit hole of how the team was built, people came in, right? The whole thing is Mars is gone, right? And I got a very good piece of this is solid. I believe this, right? From the person I got this from. Basically, anytime we lost a game, anytime, Miguel was nowhere to be found. He wouldn't talk to the players. Basically, he just kind of stonewalled them. Didn't talk to him at all. Didn't talk to him about the game. Didn't give him a pep talk. Didn't do anything. He basically just went in his office or wherever it was after the game and basically just, and from my understanding in the Seattle game, that basically everybody was just sitting around for 45 minutes not saying a word, right? And Miggy's in whatever the coach's office for away side, right? Just sitting there and didn't talk to anybody. And so, it was like on the outside, Miggy seemed to be a really great fella, loving, puts his arm around everybody, brings them in, wants to talk. But, I don't think this source is bullshitting me for whatever reason. I just think behind the scenes, it was a completely different scenario.
45 minutes, what though? Like, be a little more clear. Like, after
the game. After the game, no. After the game, we lost 2-1, right? Which I think the second half was one of our best halves that we played, minus the goals that we gave up. But you would think, hey, a manager would go in there and be like, "Hey guys, great game. We gave it our all. We just lost to Seattle, which is not bad in itself if we're going to take a loss, right? On the road and we lose 2-1, we gave them a game." Right. But not to kind of go in there and just kind of have that talk and, kind of, I don't want to say put your arm around them, but just kind of pep everybody up. Like, all right, now we got to think about this. What's that?
Especially with the way that you portray yourself as like, yo, I'm always hugging people. Like, I'm always showing everybody love.
Yeah.
To Lee's point, if I'm understanding it correctly, to not even walk in with them, you could be, truly part of the team and just making a side conversation and whatever, make small talk. And that would be the least amount you could do. But if you're saying they walked in and he just made a beeline, didn't say a single word and sat for 45 minutes. And
he didn't sit with him. This is what I'm being told. He sat in a whole nother area.
That's what I'm saying. But to not even make any small talk or anything, and then break off and go be in the away coach's office with the door shut.
Yeah.
And never saying a word, and then joining them on the bus to go to the airport or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of know he's back in Charlotte now, but hearing that and kind of on the pieces you put together, going back to the early days and everything, right? The club and I'm not defending the club by any means because I really, again, right, I only get the source that told me, and I strongly believe them, and then we start peeling back some of the other stuff that's being leaked out and whatnot. And so,
and listen, I'm on the fan side where, like, bro, like, this is really a tough pill to swallow.
It is.
Even for me, man. Like, I feel like the more you talk to people and the more information you get, like, you get more disappointed because, like, Miguel really sold us this persona of who he was. And you know what? Like, I'm like, okay, like, nothing. He hasn't come out or any of his team. I've reached out to people close to him to try to get something, because I want to be fair. I hear the stuff that's going on here, but like I also want to hear
I
what
would love to hear his side. I would
all
love for
these
him
guys have to say, right?
Yeah. If he wanted just to come on here and us not ask questions and he just wanted to talk, I would give him the platform and let him have at it.
For real, my man, because like the more we
up,
get into this and the more people that we talk to, it's really disheartening some of the stuff that we hear. It almost like makes me question. I'm like, do I really believe this?
Well,
You saw my video this morning. I woke up and I didn't believe it. I didn't believe it at all. It was a nightmare. At first, I still truly am like doing a little joke with the blindfold on earlier. I'm like, really, what is happening? And now what you just told us, Lee, from your good source, and like you said, you're not with the club and all that kind of stuff. You know why? Because we're for the fans, by the fans. Damn it.
Damn it.
The only way we're ever going to do what we do is to stay authentic.
Yeah, and I mean, and when I heard this news about the locker room and that sort of thing, right? Exactly what David said here about our home performances, right? They play a lot. They play better. They just play better, right? And if it's like, well, if the manager's not giving the pep talk that they need and kind of helping them, right, kind of motivate them, is it the 12th man, right? So I don't know, man.
You know what? Like, where it comes here, I disagree with this right now. In terms
disagree with what?
In terms of like if we're overperforming or underperforming based on Miguel, right? I gotta see a month out of not having Miguel around to actually see, right? Because right now it's pretty easy to say, oh, we were underperforming because of him, or if we were overperforming because of him.
Well,
right?
I mean,
at the end of the day, we're still a competitive team, and Miguel was in charge for 14 games, right? So he had to have done some things right for us to be where we're at today.
Well, and he's established the baseline for us overachieving. You know what I mean?
Like, he did when he came out and said,
he was
"We're
the one
screwed.
who said we are screwed."
Yes.
He then at that point said, "Hey, I don't have the pieces on this roster that I need." Right? We know for a fact, no speculation. We know for a fact that he absolutely lost some of the locker room and had to address that with the players after that quote. That is confirmed, right?
Yes,
and
100%.
So I think that there was an uphill battle for him from that moment. But that then also established the national punditry, establishing the narrative of this is a team that I don't see the pieces being quite right. They're going too international. They don't have enough MLS experience, right? And so there's this perception that we have overachieved because the bar was moved down. And I don't think that's giving credit to the players. In my mind,
I mean, when did you ever hear him talk good about the players? He talked about good,
but it's not even about him, right? Like to me, some of it is also the perception, right? Like, what was it? The players overperforming? Was it Mar elevating that level? Could we have actually been higher? None of us know. None of us know that. What we do know is that the national pundits, for the most part, were saying, "Hey, we're way down here. It's way worse." We had people like myself, Jorge, Lee, when we were talking before the season, we were intimately knowledgeable of these players and the style and everything the club was saying. And we were like, I mean, I don't think we're going to win the league, but we're not wooden spoon.
No, we're not wooden spoon by any means.
I could look at the team and I said, we're not going to give up 70 goals, right? Yeah. Like, I still believe that. I still think that this team is the players. I believe in the players' ability and their skill set. Latanzio or anyone else, it doesn't matter. The players are good enough to keep us in the mix.
So to this comment right here, and
he did. I was just about to mention that when you said that, but Joey beat me to it.
Yeah, but from my understanding, I feel like he could tell that Guzman was turning on him, and that's why he started doing that. Just a FYI.
I feel like you're speculating, though.
I'm not speculating. Not speculating.
But listen, to the other point, I get it, and all of that makes sense. And I said this at the beginning of the season too. I was like, listen, Miguel put himself in a win-win situation because if we do well, it's because of him, and if we don't, it's also because he didn't have the proper tools, right? But I also want to say, if a month from now we haven't had a win, you're going to be wondering, is a lot of the stuff that's come out. Okay, maybe you're still gonna. People will question whether it was Miguel's tactics that got us. I don't want to say to overachieve or underachieve, but to be where we were at versus if a month goes by and we're not winning games and we don't look good.
Well, I mean, regardless,
only one way to find out.
There's added unneeded pressure right now on the players, right? And definitely on Christian himself. Right?
Hold on. I can't even right now because I've set as a new to it, more generic fan who I have to represent for the whole season. We're an expansion team, right? It sucks that Mickey is gone. He seemed very personal, seemed great. I don't know all the back end shit. To Jorge's point, if we don't win or do win in a month from now, that the proof's in the pudding. There's only one way to find out what Latanzio can do. But at the same time, to me, it's all house money. This whole season, just as long as we don't get the wooden spoon, I honestly don't give a shit. For the most part, I want us to do great. But this season, just as long as we get a good base going and don't give up and play well at home and do everything else, let's just do it.
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody agrees with you, man. I mean, we would love to hear from Mars, right? I'm sure at some point he's going to come out. There's going to be a statement from him, right?
Right.
And, what's going to happen is there's going to be a bunch of pissing back and forth in the media about this, right? I mean, we don't know, right?
Listen, the fact that every local person, people in the journalism world, people within the club, people outside of the club have similar stories. It's like I don't want to sit here I feel it's not like we've turned on Miguel, but bro, we have to talk about the things that we've heard, and all of them are aligning up. And the thing is, it's a very hard pill to swallow for a lot of us. I know it is for a big part of the fan base.
Well, I didn't believe any of it either, man. At first, I was like, no, this can't be true. Because, I mean, we've had back passes, right? We've come behind the scenes, if you will. I mean, you guys in the media, like JT and you're down there. And it was just like some of this stuff, it was not making sense. But
well, I think that's part of it, right? Like my concern when Miguel was the hire was that he was this up and coming coach, and in same thing in the introductory press conference, they're joking about he's going to go to the Premier League. Like, how long can we keep him from going to the Premier League? And like Jorge was saying about it being a win-win scenario for Miguel. If they were successful, if the team was good, right, he was going to have opportunities abroad and elsewhere. If the team tanked and was bad, he was going to also, same thing, cut bait and run. So I think that there was always one foot a little bit out the door. And I think that the messaging that was happening in interviews was telegraphing, for sure, Miguel's discontent, right? That Miguel was not happy with the situation. And to me, I think the Mar dismissal and some of Zoran's decision-making to do this now. Why now, right? This is when he has opportunities to go to Europe. And I think at the end of the day, it mirrors the decision for Riley McGree to be transferred, right? Like if you roll back the clock to when Riley left, right? He was coming up to the end of his contract or the end of the loan, coming back to Charlotte FC. And in Riley's press conferences, it was clear as day. He was telegraphing his intent and his desire was to stay in England, right? Yeah. And Zoran said, okay, we don't want anybody here that doesn't want to be here. The decision is made for us and for me. And so I think Miguel drawing this line in the sand and through his words, showing his discontent with the team and the roster and all these sorts of things and playing these chess games, that at the end of the day, he was telegraphing he was no longer in on the project. And so Zoran knew that. Everybody knew it, right? He was already looking outside and probably it was probably rumors swirling that he was going to go elsewhere. So, okay, if you don't want to be here, if you don't believe in the project, if you're not going to be part of this team collaboration, time to move on. Decision made.
Yeah, Johnny, we touched on this earlier, right? I mean, and Vaughn had a solid point, but my question and kind of to recap, right, was why would Carroll by himself come out in a World Cup year and say, I'm not going to come play for this guy, right? With the hopes that the club was going to transfer him out or whatever over the summer, and then he's going to get to start and play. But like Vaughn said, if that was the case, he possibly could go somewhere else, right?
Well, and in regards to Carroll, right? We don't know. We were not in the room. We did not hear it, right?
Yeah.
Like I have no idea what Carroll said.
But then that goes back. The reason I started off with the Carroll question though was because it kind of linked to what I was told earlier today about the locker room and everything else. So to me, I don't think it's just Carroll. I think the Athletic got that name from wherever, and it's he's the scapegoat in that regard right now.
Yeah, honestly, I think that's the Athletic speculating.
As I said, there's one thing we cannot speculate on, which is that we were not in the room.
That's what Johnny says right here. We weren't in the room for any of this.
Yeah, so I can agree based on everything that I've heard and the conversations I've had that there was friction and there was players that did not want to play for Miguel. Now, I cannot confirm to you that Karol Swiderski refused to play for Miguel. I can see that as a possibility based on the nature of both of those characters, but I can't sit here and tell you that actually happened.
Do you think there's any kind of non-disclosure agreement between the club and Miguel to our whole point of that? Like, listen, we're not going to defame you. You go to you do your thing. You don't defame us and say we're a shit club the way we treated you. It is what it is. You get your X amount of dollars we agreed upon. And
all contracts have a termination clause. Absolutely.
Yeah,
no question.
So to that point, we probably will not hear from Miguel. And
well,
the thing we heard,
I mean, his PR team can leak shit to the press, right? Like other stuff.
That'd be speculation. We got leaks all over this whole thing right now.
And if you just joined us late, if the word speculation is said, you have to take a drink of whatever it is.
So what I'm saying is, unless we hear from him directly, Miguel Angel Ramirez, and I wish him luck too. I've been to try to figure a way to weave that into the video, but as far as I knew him for the last 10 months, it was exciting, and I won't remember. I will remember his name and whatever. Our first Charlotte FC's first head coach ever. Might be a trivia question at the bar one night,
or on this show when we do trivia again. So, because we did do a trivia night one night, but I want to dial this back some more, right? And I should have marked these questions, but I think Churchy, you were asking something about the players, right? And their the way they've been performing. I mean, so I'm gonna just kind of mention some names, right? I mean, Carroll, when he first came out, right? Since he's the hot topic right now, when he first came out on the scene, right? He started playing pretty good, right? He banged in 4 goals pretty quick. And then once he got in that Mars system, like he kind of fell off. We didn't see much of him, right? I mean, Bender, right? He came out. He was putting in crosses and doing all this other stuff. Got in the Mars system, right? I mean, he still played decent, but there was no more crosses and that sort of thing, right?
See, I don't think we really saw a Mars system.
Because they were all under Miguel.
What's that?
I can't agree with this because all these guys were under Miguel. Like, if it was another coach and then Miguel came in, and
I'm just saying how their form dropped. I'm saying how that form dropped from their initial
start. What their form was prior to Miguel being in the team, though, right?
What do you mean?
None of these guys have played for Charlotte FC.
Right. Yeah.
It's a whole new team. It's very difficult to judge what players have done well or have underperformed because what we're guessing is that this is where this player should be, but because Miguel was the coach, these players are not to their level, right? And to me, that's not a fair comparison yet because we haven't seen them under a different coach in the same team.
And I've got 2 points. One is the statistics related to expected goals against and expected goals for would indicate that we did not have regression. It would indicate that we had progress. So there may have been some players that took a dip, but as a team and as our structure, we improved statistically. Eye test and of course the stats, the underlying numbers of like Swiderski, he had 4 goals, now he's got none. Yeah, we can look at that and say he had a regression. But at the end of the day, as a whole, we progressed. Secondly, we were just talking not even 2 weeks ago about this team has not really established the 4-3-3. We were just beginning to see the beginning of that.
Right.
A lot of what we were seeing was the team playing in a 4-4-2. And Miguel admitted that the 4-4-2 was not something that, as a manager, he had experienced working with and was not totally comfortable with. Now, speculating, right? We can take a guess and say, hey, was that Miguel playing games as well? Right? Miguel was the one who said he didn't have the personnel to play a 4-3-3. At the end of the day, he had the option and did have players that he could implement a 4-3-3. He started in it weeks 1 and 2 and quickly moved to the 4-4-2 diamond. I do agree he probably didn't have the depth to do the 4-3-3 outright, but he could have said, hell or high water, I'm running with this 4-3-3, and that's what I'm going to proceed with. I think that there was differing of opinions on players being rated, right? Players that predated Mars higher, maybe guys that were selected in the expansion draft. Like, to me, Anton Walks and his lack of minutes is a total mind boggle. Makes no sense. This is a guy that had 3,000 minutes as a starter for a fairly good defense. And he was relegated to the bench and open cup play.
I mean, to be fair, right, just to kind of put a star by that, right, or asterisk or whatever, right? I mean, he was injured and then he had to do a little bit of stuff for his green card and that sort of thing. But yeah, I get your point, right? I don't understand why McCoon's starting over Jan or Walks. I just don't get that.
Sergio not getting the start with 6.
Yep, Sergio.
Well, our starting center backs were, if you're looking at people now, it would be Fuchs and Corujo, right? But yeah, like you're right. When Fuchs was missing, where was Walks' opportunity?
That's a good question, man.
And then this is something I can share now that I guess since Miguel is not here anymore. I had a conversation with him prior to the season starting, and all right, I'm gonna go. Screw it.
Get closer.
He talked about Jan Sabaczynski and how he lacked. He was like it wasn't a player that he rated, right? And he went on to talk about that Jan Sabaczynski had to develop more pace and more of a football brain when it came defensively. He had to be quicker thinking, right? And I mean, like, from what I've seen from all our defenders, I'm like, bro, nobody has really stuck out where like this guy doesn't deserve a shot. Like, we don't have a prime Puyol or a prime Sergio Ramos as a center back where we're like, yo, like Jan doesn't deserve minutes, you know? So, but like, ever since I had that conversation with him, I knew that, like, I was like, okay, Jan's probably not gonna get a nod in any MLS game.
No, he's not. And I mean, that kind of goes back to, Brian asked the question. I mean, I would think we're going to stick with the same 4-4-3 sort of thing, right? Just, I mean, that's what they've been working on and whatever. Go ahead.
This is where the club, and I guess Zoran, who is the guy with the power or most of the power to make the decisions, like they've stated that they have a style of play, right? You want to play possession-based attacking football, right? So every manager that you bring on, or even as an interim, Latanzio has to stick to this model, has to stick to this style of play, because long-term, it's what we want to establish the club as, correct?
Yeah. I mean, it's the whole reason. I mean, and we talked about this last night on your show, right? I mean, you bring in a coach, right? And like Rhonda mentioned earlier, Miggy sort of went over to that manager role, right? You bring in a coach, the sporting director picks the players, he kind of builds it out. Yes, there's obviously consultation with the manager and that sort of thing, but you're going to have that. So that way, when the manager or coach leaves, you bring another one in with that same sort of philosophy, and it's kind of, you don't really skip a beat, right? So, oh man, it's a lot going on, and we're only just starting to peel back this, right? I mean, I'm kind of curious to see what happens when Miggy does come out and say anything. And if you guys are new here, we appreciate you to hit the sub button for us.
Keeps on slipping into the future.
One thing I do like about Latanzio, though, I feel like he's gonna bring like this calmness, right? Like just a couple of times that I've interacted with him, like his personality, I don't want to say it's the complete opposite of Miguel, but it's not like, I feel like we're not gonna have some of these wild quotes from Latanzio, and that's my biggest takeaway for that is like, bro, just steer the ship. You know what I'm saying? Like, if there's a broken locker room, try to fix it because this team is playing okay. Like, it's not like we look like crap, right?
Yeah.
And so I'm like, there's really not that many changes you need to make outside of, building whatever relationships are broken.
We
Well,
interviewed Latanzio. I'm sorry, Vaughn, but just real quick shameless plug. We interviewed Latanzio way back in the day when he was out there working with the academy. And so I'm going to figure out some way because I don't think anyone else was there from the media that day.
I was there.
Yeah, it was just.
Yeah, you were, Jorge. You damn right. Jorge and I were there. But yes, Lee, you were too. You're kind of part of us. The whole point I make is there was very few of us there. So I'm going to go back in the archive and see if I can glean anything about his style. Yeah, but he seemed cool, man. Latanzio seemed cool as.
Well, to Johnny's point here, I think Zoran's almost untouchable, at least for the first couple of years. Like, right. I don't think he has too much to worry about because, I mean, technically he could hide behind the shit that's been going on. And obviously, like, hey, we're building new. You got to give us time to gel, yada, 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 right? So I think at least 3 to 4 years, he's kind of untouchable.
Vaughn, what were you going to say?
I think Vaughn had something to say.
Well, no, I was going to say, I think for Latanzio, I agree. Nothing is going to change. He's going to be playing the 4-3-3. It's going to be more like patterns of play. Like how do we see players' movement on the pitch? How do we see him balance minutes? Who does he favor? Those are going to be the things we'll have to keep an eye on. I'm more thinking of the off-field stuff, right? The on-field. I'm not as concerned about. It's the off-field.
I'm not worried about it. I'm not worried about it.
And so the off-field side, I think Jorge talked about it last night on his podcast, and I know we talked about it a little bit of what will have to change is who is the face and the voice of Charlotte FC. I think that was one of the challenges is from a PR side, right? A lot of people are on Team Mar because the narrative around the club and the vibes and everything, it was being dictated largely by him being the voice and the face in front of the camera at post-game pressers. We only recently saw Cornetta come out and jump on screen. But, when we were just starting out, it was Tom Glick. Like Tom Glick was the face, and that was who we needed in front of the camera to secure an MLS expansion bid. And then after Nick Kelly was brought in, it was Nick Kelly. And then once games started rolling, it was absolutely Miguel. Right. So somebody has to fill that void now. I think after Cornetta's presser, I think we all know we don't want to see that happen. It ain't
Poor Zoran, man.
Dude, I can't. You can't say poor Zoran because he had the chance.
I mean it in an endearing way. I don't mean it like I was like, yes, you should have fucking told us what's really going on in the club.
Listen. I'm telling you right now, I came so close because you were saying, we wouldn't want to do it. I've edited so many videos of so many people being interviewed or whatever, and to read Zoran's mannerisms, cutting up that interview. And I came so close to just stopping a frame of him and just looking how miserable and tired and just pissed off. And he knew he could not say it. And my gosh, if he could say it in the native tongue, he really would say it or whatever. But he was looking rough. He was having the worst day of anybody in the entire situation. Trust me on that. It could have been
it could have been a hard weekend. I mean, it was. And this is Vaughn's take, right? Memorial Day.
Memorial Day. Yeah.
I like that. Johnny makes a good point that we had an extra year. That's funny too, though. Like, you know what? Like, we pushed everything a year and we're out of a coach 14 games in.
I mean, the pandemic kind of
house money.
I just find that funny, like the irony, like we have extra time, and then 14 games in, boom.
I mean, Latanzio comes.
just if you weren't into the dating game and like you were out of the game for a year and then you get back in the game and somehow you hook up with somebody or become their girlfriend or get married to somebody and then you get divorced in 6 months just because you're out of the game that much earlier.
Look, JT, leave my damn personal life out of this, okay? So, anyways, what I wanted to say is with Latanzio's got a pretty good resume, right? Or CV or whatever we want to call it, right? I mean, he's West Ham, I believe it was Man City, the England squad, right? Who am I missing? New York, right? I mean, he's worked with players. He's been there. This is his next step. This is a time for him to shine. And I think he's going to do okay, right? Again, he's worked with these players since, I mean, he was the first coach here, right? Before all the others actually showed up physically here. And I mean, he's been with these players. And so, what my point is I don't think on the pitch and with the players there's going to be much missed, right? He's going to know what we need to work on. He's going to know the formations that we're trying to do and that sort of thing, other than the corners, right? I don't think.
Yeah, I don't even think it deals with MLS experience or no MLS experience at this point because like we're 14 games in. The team plays well. Obviously there's things we can improve, but like just going back to the point of like, bro, like all we really need a coach to do right now is steer the ship, right? Calm the waters a little bit and steer the ship because it's not like we just hit an iceberg. And like every piece, like we're playing horribly, we're out of playoffs. Like there's not like a rebuild portion. It's hey, steer the ship and continue to sail to where we're headed.
And that's also what JT talked about early on of, this sucks, right? Like right now there's turmoil and we need somebody to steer the ship. But in the long run, right? Like 15, 20 years down the road, right? I want us to be a franchise, a club that establishes a pattern of stability, right? that establishes that winning culture and winning mentality, right? Like that's the problem right now is we don't have that stability. That early foundation, the foundation's not set yet, and we might have to start repouring a little bit. I think what we're going to see, and it's going to have to prove out over time, right? Like the team is either going to make good hires and develop players and do the right things by the fans and go out and sign the right talent and spend the right kind of dollars, right? Like if every single year those salary numbers come out and we're still sitting 27th, and we're still paying PSLs, people will walk. They will stop going if they're not winning and it's not working. So like it's going to have to prove out over time. Yeah. Like this year, whatever. This year, like JC said, don't go wooden spoon. Keep being interesting. Stay competitive. Be in the games, and from there, let's start building a foundation of stability and build from there.
100% agree with you. I was about to say something, but I forgot.
What was you gonna say?
I don't remember now.
Hey, you know what? I did remember something I was going to say a long time ago, but then I just remembered it, which was, do you think Swiderski on the field? Because I commented on this as a fan who doesn't know as much, but he would always get so frustrated, like hand motions and shit. Like, come on. I assumed that he was getting frustrated with someone not giving the pass, but can you speculate that he was frustrated within the system that he was not getting the pass because of Miguel's system, not because of the player not passing it to him?
Who?
Swiderski. When he would see on the pitch, he would really get like why didn't you pass it?
I feel like that's just part of who Carroll is, though.
Yeah, I don't know.
I miss a sitter and I yell at myself in the third person. So
yeah, I feel like all competitors like that. How many times have you seen great players get mad like on the field and physically express it, right? And so I think I remember my train of thought too now. Also, just adding to
I did it, Jorge, just to give you time to remember your train of thought.
You gotta make him forget it now.
And I was just gonna say, moving forward, this lack of transparency that the club portrays, like they need to shift away from that, because that's gonna keep turning people off. If major things happen within the club and you come out and say like, yo, we're not saying anything right now, right?
Well, I mean, that's it, right? I mean, soccer's a completely different animal to me in any other sport, right? I mean, the NFL, whatever, right? It's more closed door, but I mean, soccer globally is, even though we don't own the team, right? I mean, it's pretty much fans have some clout, right? And I mean, we can talk about the Super League and all that, but it would be nice, right, for the club to be a little more transparent about this.
And we're not saying air out everything, but you know what? You can come out in a way. If Miguel really was the problem, say, hey, listen, there's things that Miguel's done that we just don't feel comfortable sharing. And this was one of the reasons we let him go, right?
100%.
You know, like something to give us a little bit, right? Versus not giving us anything is just causing everybody to have their own ideas, having to figure out if what people are telling you is actually true, or is it based on a narrative that they're trying to play?
Nah, but speculation or not, we know for sure. We know 100% for sure the on-field performance was good.
Yeah,
it was
good, not great.
And
right. So the team doesn't need to say anything. We know it's off-field stuff, regardless. Whatever it is, whether it's players, whether it's interpersonal between the front office, whatever it is, doesn't matter where it is. We know it's something off-field. Like you don't just let go of a guy because he smelled funny today. Like that wasn't why Mar's gone. The reason doesn't matter. I think that's why the team went with that approach. And they said it's not going to help anybody to air out the dirty laundry right here.
Well, I mean, there was one comment.
You don't have to air it out, but you can at least acknowledge, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's more.
Well, and hopefully they learn from it. I agree. Hopefully they learn from it, and that's the other thing. Like, how do you improve? How do you get better? Right? Like the team's going to make mistakes. They're going to have hits and misses on player signings. They're going to have hits and misses on executive signings, coaches, everything. They're going to have good PR statements, bad ones.
Right.
This one was a bad one. They got to learn from it.
But
and if they don't, then we're going to know where the team ends up.
Right.
To Jorge's point, he could have walked up to the line a little bit farther and given us just a little bit more, and then said, no, we can't talk about this part. We can't talk about that part. But this is the reason. It was like we weren't even letting the building.
Well, when he said, I don't want to bore you with the details, that was it. That was the one comment in that whole interview that was like, dude,
I don't want to bore you with the details. That's why 50 people are in this press conference right now. Sure.
And we're streaming it live across the TV networks too, right?
Miguel said that he could write a book about his experience of running this expansion team. So he's got time to write the book now. I hope we see it.
Nice.
Write the book.
Write the book. But yeah, I mean, I think if anything, the fans are going to come out and be more, at least from my perspective, right? I think the fans are going to come out more at these home games, and we're going to be like behind the players at least, right? Regardless what happens in the back office or the front office.
Yeah,
right?
But like,
these players deserve our support.
Argue if there's probably a fan base, and there's people within the fan base that disagree with this decision, and the club's not giving them anything to work off of. And they also have the right to, if they feel wrong that Miguel was let go and they didn't get a proper explanation, they're all in their rights to feel the way that they feel, to see the perspective of, you know what, Miguel got wronged. And that has a lot to do with the club's lack of transparency.
100%.
And that's one of the concerns, right? Like probably the biggest concern for me is, okay, how does this affect our recruitment of talent, whether that is on-field or off-field talent moving forward, right? Like if the rumor, like people in the know, like really, really in the know and in the clubs, and that, players talk to players and agents talk to agents and coaches talk to coaches, like they know, like the truth is out there.
Well, I mean,
so like if a player's like, man, I want to get the heck out of Charlotte, and we start seeing all the free agent, like we know which teams in MLS players desire to go to. Like it's no secret. It's clear as day, right? So that's my hope here is that at the end of the day, hopefully it was just a Mar problem. Hopefully it was just a bad thing, and we're going to move on from it and do better in the future. And
100%.
that's the hope. Cross fingers. If not, we'll be doing a rebuild like other expansion teams have been able to do, and they still survive in the long run.
Vaughn, I don't know what other teams they want to go to. I'm assuming LA Galaxy, Red Bulls, and I mean the big markets.
It's the clubs that run things the right way. Seattle Sounders were able to get this offseason Albert Rusnak. Albert Rusnak was a designated player for Real Salt Lake, arguably their most key player. He went and signed a free agent deal to go join Seattle as a non-DP. He took a pay cut to go sign as a free agent to go and try and win titles at this stage of his career and to be part of a Champions League run. They ultimately went and won Champions League. So you go to a team where you say, hey, this is where I can do this for my future. I can get minutes. I can be on a bigger stage. I can win titles. I can be surrounded by these other players that inspire me, these other coaches that inspire me. This is going to be my best opportunity to go abroad, right? Like, why Paul Arriola end up going to FC Dallas this offseason, right? Free agency, and the players are fighting for an expanded free agency in MLS right now. Like, that's a big part of the CBA negotiations is providing more freedom of movement for players once they hit a certain stage of their time in MLS. So yeah, it's very important to become a market, whether it's Seattle, LAFC, I think is one of those clubs. I think Philadelphia is becoming one of those clubs. There was a point in time where Sporting Kansas City was one of those clubs where when you have stability, when you have a club ethos, when you establish a certain culture, players want to be a part of that. They believe in the project, they believe in the process, they believe in the people that are in those organizations, and good talent follows.
100%.
I hope Charlotte becomes that.
100%.
So on that, because we're going to help that culture, Vaughn.
That's right.
That's it. All right, guys. So we're running on, and it's getting late. And I know it's a school night for a lot of these boys. And Jorge's going to go and hang outside Target and hopefully run into Miggy for us.
I'm going to his house in Noda.
Are you?
Yeah.
Just like disclose that to everybody. So yeah, if you haven't and you want to be in the giveaway, it's either a picture of Carol or a picture of Miggy, with whichever you prefer. Go ahead and do that. I'm going to let these guys put out their closing thoughts, then we'll run that, and then we'll shut this thing down. So, Vaughn, man, go ahead and give me your closing thoughts, at least over the last, 48 hours now?
Can't change what's happened. And I think for the fan base, stay positive, support the players, stay behind it, trust the process, trust that it's going to be okay. And you can be critical, you can be bummed, you can be upset. But at the end of the day, the more that we maintain that positivity, the more we're going to reach our goals.
Fair. Jorge, go ahead.
You can't be a Queen City without drama.
Did you just come up with that, or what, man?
I'm just kidding. Listen, at the end of the day, I hope that everything that's airing out, that it's more of what the issues that were going on with Miguel, right? And I'm really banking. This is more of a hope than knowledge, because we can speculate again, or we can analyze who Latanzio is. But I really hope he comes in and, you know what, just steers the ship and gets us in the right direction, because we can still, we have the possibility of having a successful season. And you're never going to get your inaugural season back, right? Yeah. And so, you know what?
It's going to be one to remember.
It definitely will. All the things that have happened here, at the end of the day, I want to look back at the end of the season and be like, bro, like, I was proud of what we did that first season. Whether we make playoffs or we're really close to playoffs, you know what? Like, I want to be able to say I'm proud of this team. And right now I am, man. I'm proud of the players that we have. I'm proud of the fan base that we have. I'm proud of the community that we've been able to build. Is it perfect? No, but you know what? It's a great CLT family.
Bam.
Agree. JT?
I thought about some different things. And one thing I just want to say is, like I said before, house money. House money is the expansion season. And I am so excited just to build all of this stuff together. And Tepper and everyone else wanted to do the whole thing. Let's party. It's a party. Even the DJ booth said, time to party, whatever. Well, you know, if you ever been to some parties, sometimes people leave early. Sometimes someone gets a call from the kids, they got to leave early. Someone gets sick, you never know. Someone who's the best whatever. They leave early. You don't know exactly why. Someone else is talking some shit about them in the corner. You don't know why. But guess what? The party keeps going. And we're going to be out there. Tickets are still going to be out there. It don't matter because it's about us and about the kids, the everybody into this, building this culture. And it doesn't matter who the coach is for the most part. And we'll still be out there.
So, somebody spilled a drink. There's been a party foul. Let's get the party going again. It's okay. Party foul. Drinks up. Let's go.
Yeah, I'm going to keep it short and sweet. I'm just going to say,
speculate.
Jesus Christ. Anyways, right. So I'm just going to say, right. I'm just want everybody to keep showing up at the games, get behind the players, right. And let's cheer these guys on, and let's finish the second half of the season strong. I think we're in good hands with Christian, and I think we're going to be okay, man. I really do. And if you're new to the show, hit the sub button for us. We really appreciate that. And also, last chance, if you haven't already, speculation hashtag speculation will get you into the giveaway.
Stop saying it. Stop saying it. I can't do anymore.
Yeah. Well, he just went off. Somebody just went off about it. So let me do this real quick.
Over or under how many games before DJ Fannie Mae gets axed?
Somebody post that.
That's hilarious. Yeah, y'all been funny recently.
Yeah. So yeah, speculation, folks. Let's I'll give them a couple of seconds because I know there's a delay.
Delay.
Yep. Good show. Hey, we appreciate everybody tuning in too and showing the love, man. We're trying to get you guys the news and letting you guys have your say and everything else we can do. Anything you'd like to see, anything like that, man, let us know and we'll try to make it happen at least on our media. And so, here we go. I'm gonna do the draw. You ready? Who's gonna win?
Miguel.
Yeah, wouldn't that be funny? David Palmer, congratulations, man.
Yeah, congratulations.
Yes. Reach out to me on whatever social media platform you follow us on, and I'll make sure you get either a picture of Miggy or a picture of Carol.
It'll really tell us which side David's on.
What?
Yeah, Adam's saying hang that picture. I'm trying to rearrange. I haven't got to that part yet. So Adam is the guy that does all the pictures for us. Let's give him a shout out real quick. So
you gotta get the Miggy one.
Nice.
Yeah. So he made that for us. So we appreciate it. And
as a fine things, you gotta get the Miggy one. You gotta get the Miggy one. It's the rare one now. It's he's out.
Also, can we all agree? Hashtag Sir Minty for head coach. Yeah.
Head coach.
Who's in the Who's in the
I wonder what the Tifo is going to say next. All right. So, Vaughn, man.
Just a side note, that clip of Carol interviewing Christian, we could have not found it at a better time.
What's that?
That clip of Carol interviewing Latanzio.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, the gems the internet provides some days are just massive W's.
That's right. That's right. That's funny. So, yeah, Vaughn, go ahead, man. Tell people where they can find you if they want to follow you and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, socials at VI Pullman. And for podcasting, I jump around everywhere. I'm here on Charlotte FC Fan TV. I've been on MLS Corner. I've been on Mid City Soccer Show. If there's a Charlotte podcast, I've probably jumped on it at some point. So yeah, that's where you can find me.
Well, let's be at least a little special.
Man.
I was like, listen, I get around all over the place. I get around everywhere. Damn, Vaughn.
There's no speculation about that. Vaughn's just a man.
He is.
No doubt. And very well spoken, Vaughn.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah. Jorge, man, where can people find you at?
You can find me on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter at TopBin90, and on TikTok at Real TopBin90. And we got some cool things coming for you guys in this month. And so I'm excited with all this. I feel like Miguel took over my life the last 48 hours, bro. I'm not even gonna lie.
Jeez. Hey, Yeah, it's been a whirlwind for sure. JT, any closing thoughts, man?
It's late. Let's wrap it up. I've talked too much.
All right. And again, guys, if you're new to the show, you haven't, please subscribe, man. That's all we ask you guys to do. And live shows every Wednesday at 9, unless there's a game, which obviously we're at the Cup, so that's not going to happen. Fan reactions, find us outside the supporters section. The LED banner will be out there. It's going to be great, man. I cannot wait for that first fan reaction video when we ask people about all this mess that's been going on. And yeah, other than that, breaking news and episodes and fan. We got some interviews hopefully coming up soon that we will be able to share too with some of the players. So other than that, you guys have a good night. Be safe. We love you. Charlotte FC for the crown.